Congressman Cicilline, the primary is coming up. Um, the primary is now coming up it's now less than 2 weeks. It's going to be happening on September. The Tuesday after Labor Day suddenly becomes the day that'll be decided. But there's a lot of movement in the race. And then obviously I'm going to talk about the big GOP primary debate last night, of which I think it's a lot came out of that. A lot came out of that particular debate, even though President Trump was not there, and it made a lot of news. And I think I'm anxious to see how big the number is for how many people watched it, because as much as um, people were, a lot of people were saying, especially some of the pundits, that people were not going to, thank you, Roberta, were not going to watch it simply because President Trump wasn't part of it. I don't believe that's the case. So I'm anxious to see it. And there's a couple of other things that there's definitely something happening right now. And when you flip around, as I was after the debate and looking at some of the post-debate coverage, I kind of came upon it. So, and I'm going to touch on that as well. Now, there's huge developments, though, with the cd-1 race. Big developments with this race in cd-1. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Stop it and see them. 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Native vegetables, corn, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, onion, zucchini, yellow squash. They have it all. Plus, anything you want to plant, they have it, including deer-resistant arborvitaes. Look for them on Facebook, right off of Route 4. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Now, check out the website, depetro.com. Folks, we do have a story up, a posting. This is, as I had said, a complete Lieutenant Governor Matos total meltdown that has taken place. She is imploding. She may end up finishing fourth, maybe even fifth, but she may end up finishing fourth in this Democrat primary, in this new polling numbers out. But you can see that, the return of Ladybug, and a lot more, folks. It's a happening at the website, depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks on the lounge. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. And again, remember, they also have the market now. The market at Coesit, which is freshly prepared foods and everything. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. So there's several stories I want to touch on. I'm going to start with the debate last night. So I haven't seen, I don't believe, I'm going to keep checking it. I think what's happening right now, and I'm very anxious to see once they come out with some numbers. I have not seen any as of yet. It's all different. I'll just touch on a couple of people. First of all, it's very difficult to judge the crowd without the leader on stage, right? Without the front runner on stage. I'll be curious to see if he sits out the second one, because I think President Trump has found his running mate. And I give him credit. I underestimated him. It was going to be his first debate, but Vivek Ramaswamy, he overperformed. And I saw CNN did a focus group of Iowa voters, and they loved him. Now, a lot of the commentators were saying, Mike Pence did very well. I mentioned the Boston Globe gave Vice President Mike Pence an A+, which I don't get at all. So I didn't see it that way. He did much better than I thought. Who did well? I thought he did really well. I think he did so well because it kind of mirrors the attitude of the public right now. And I thought he did very, very well. I thought Nikki Haley did very, very well. And I wasn't expecting her to do well. I thought Governor DeSantis, I thought he did okay. He did okay. He's, and I saw someone write, he's definitely not Jeb Bush from 2016. But for first time out presidential debate, I think DeSantis was solid. I thought Governor Chris Christie did. I thought he was flat. I didn't think he was great. Um, I thought he missed some opportunities there. He did not take it. The Boston Globe gave former Vice President Mike Pence an A plus. I don't see that at all. Gave Christie a B plus. I don't see that. Asia Hutchinson not a factor. Vivek Ramaswamy they gave him a B. And they even gave President Trump a C minus for not even showing up. I think it started out asking them about that hit song, and there's several factors about what happened last night of of that I think a lot of people are ignoring. But the number one song right now on iTunes is Rich Men North of Richmond. This guy comes along, it's clean, he's just like on an electric guitar. And as I was flipping around, John King, URI grad of CNN, he actually made a really good point that he's been on the ground in Iowa. And something that people are not picking up on, and I do kind of understand it, because I believe in the Reagan form of Republican Party governing, which is you have to have a strong defense. I also see Russia and China as one. So, but what I think is interesting that John King said is that people see the high cost of inflation and the high cost of housing, and then they see all this money going to Ukraine. And so what undercuts traditionally our place in the world, our place with NATO, and I do see people put the comments, and maybe I'm too harsh because they don't frame it exactly. Like they're not sure how to say it, and a lot of times they don't say it well because then they say we should give money to the homeless, which I don't believe in. That's not the solution. You don't go out to L.A., right, 70,000 homeless people and start giving everybody $10,000. That's not going to do anything. You don't go around Mass, Cass, and Boston and start giving them all $50,000. They're going to blow through it. Same thing with the crowd in Rhode Island. But I think what can't be ignored is, okay, everything is so expensive and groceries are so expensive and housing is suddenly so expensive and we're shipping all this money. So I think that's interesting if they're tapping into that. But my point is, look at Yellowstone, which is in some ways mocked by the critics, but wildly popular because it taps into how a lot of people, feel about the government and progressives and people trying to take their land. The top movie of the summer, Sound of Freedom. No one saw that coming. That was outperforming Mission Impossible. And look at how well that film did. There's no way they thought it would do more than 10 million. I think it's going higher than 100 million. Runaway smash. Look at the reaction of Bud Light that says, we're tired of all these fratty boys drinking. We're going to get the transgender crowd. And then Kid Rock lights up a couple of Bud Light six-packs, and boom, that was the end of the brand. So my point is that people are angry out there. And they're far angrier than the media wants to acknowledge how angry that they are and how upset they are. And I also think part of it, though, in our part of the country, in the Northeast, especially Rhode Island and Massachusetts, because it's so Democrat, because it's become so one-party rule, especially in Rhode Island, where the state has just completely gone off the rails. Maura Healey less so in Massachusetts. Rhode Island right now, Rhode Island is that hotel, Governor McKee Matos. The state is basically that hotel on Block Island, burning and not enough water to put it out. Governor McKee is doing his best to completely put the state completely underground. So my point is, a lot of the real anger that people have and frustrations, it just kind of stays underneath the surface because we also don't get proper representation. So Christie did not do. I thought he was going to have a big night. He did not have a big night. I'm being objective. I'm not. Mike Pence, to me, he's just like a buzzkill. Comes in, his whole manner. I don't know. He's just, he seems like a nice guy. Again, there's nothing against him personally. He's just not my type. I thought Christie underperformed. I thought Nikki Haley did very well. I thought DeSantis did very well. And I think that, boy, Vivek, I mean, he is a bomb thrower, and he lit up the stage, and he also did something really smart, which is if you engage him, they have to give him more time to respond, and they kept engaging him, which meant that Fox, by the way, they kind of lost control of it at different times, but they had to keep going back to him. Tim Scott, not ready for primetime, nice guy. That guy, whatever, the governor of South Dakota, North Dakota, I don't know what the hell he was doing there. So I think, I mean, to me, I mean, I didn't think Christie was that impressive, but he's definitely doing better in New Hampshire. People seem to be thinking DeSantis did okay. But, folks, right now, I mean, President Biden is hobbling around. The trip to Maui was a disaster. One thing I know is the ticket that is put forward has to be a ticket that can win. And the answer is I don't know. I don't know. President Trump, I want to see him on the stage because last night answered, especially him and Vivek could actually be pretty entertaining, the two of them, in taking down the rest of them. So I don't know about his legal problems. And I understand why he didn't debate, but I think it remains difficult to get a read on the field. But that's how I saw it. I did see a focus group in Iowa that CNN did, and I knew this guy was going to be wrong. I'm looking right now. Sneak peek at last night's ratings. Higher than expected. Over 10 million. Yeah, I knew it would be over 10 million. This guy was saying, I think like 5 million. In New York, the debate outrated the big four broadcasters combined. Full numbers come out this afternoon. So it did do well. It did really well. Not going to be 24, meaning 24 million back in 2016, but people view things differently. So, but it did much, much better than people thought, and especially the four networks combined. So now there is big news with the cd-1 race, but let me just say this. I mean, it's still unfolding. President Trump's policies, here's what I think people need to focus on how much. I liked the talk last night about the border. I like the idea of going after the cartels. What we do know is we can't have a scenario of Biden-Harris. I mean, it can't happen. It absolutely can't happen. So I will support whatever ticket, but like this, they have to win the White House. This can't be where this can't be a repeat where some people are saying, "Oh no, he won," but then Biden's living on Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, in January of 25, you have to have a Republican living in the White House. No more of this people that say, "Oh no, he won." Yeah, but he didn't. Meaning you have to be certified the winner. Maybe that's the way I should. Certified the winner. Certified the winner. No more of this. Again, there's this woman, I won't say who it is, but big Trump supporter, and I was asking her in November, October 2020, I don't know, there's a lot of the way the ballots and the mail ballots, and I don't have a great feeling about this, and she's like, oh no, our great president is loved, he will win, and And then, of course, November 2020 happened. And then afterwards, I saw it something. She's like, oh, no, he won. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. So you're saying no matter what, in January, oh, no, he won. Like, it's the guy walking around with the sign, the world will end tomorrow. You see him each day. I am talking about, maybe I should specify, who will be certified the winner, the certified winner on the after the election is what I'm talking about. So the only thing that I really think could well, there's a couple things that could complicate things for President Trump. I may talk about it another time, but number one is health. I mean, this stuff he's not young. He's going to be 78 next year. It takes a toll, and all these trials and everything. That could alter the situation if for whatever reason he seems to be in decent health. But other than that, I didn't see anyone on the stage last night that could stop him. And I know there are a number of people. It's the Rhode Island Republicans. They did a story. None of them are for Trump. None of them. The person writing the story, I'm not convinced they wanted to talk to anyone for Trump. But I think that the anti-Trump people are being drowned out by just how upset people are, with good reason, by the way, of Biden Harris, right? Like we cannot, that can't happen. So whatever, I was talking to someone this morning, whatever the ticket is, if President Trump had a health problem and couldn't do it, if someone said to me, Nikki Haley's the president, I would be okay with that. If someone said to me, President Trump's going to get another 4-year term, I would be okay with that. If someone said, Governor DeSantis, it looks like he's going to be the president, I would be okay with that. I don't know about Vivek. I don't know about him. And I'm not convinced on the rest of the field. But it can't be. It cannot be Biden Harris. I mean, that can't. And forget about Gavin Newsom or Raimondo or this other nonsense. It can't be that. We can't. So many of our problems it was refreshing to hear them talk about the southern border and how, with Governor McKee, all of these opioid deaths, he welcomes all the illegals to bring all the illegal drugs onto Rhode Island. There's another thing that happened last night that I want to touch on, folks, and I'm going to, and there's a big development in the Congressional District 1 race. Folks, but this portion of the John DePetro Show is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. Call them today, J. Perry Paving. Call them for a free quote. Maybe it's your driveway paved, maybe a parking lot, high quality, fair pricing, 20 years experience, free estimate, letter J, J. Perry Paving, so Rhode Island and Southeastern Mass, 401-732-1730, 401-732-1730, letter J, J. Perry Paving. And remember, no one is better to veterans than J. Perry Paving. If you're a veteran or you're related to one, and you can hear my voice right now, give them a call. J. Perry Paving, licensed, insured, contracted company. Maybe it's a brand new paving project. Maybe it's just a cracked driveway that needs to be refreshed. J. Perry Paving, affordable, smooth, and safe to drive on. 401-732-1730, and I share a lot of their work on Facebook. So, well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Last night, I want to talk about the cd-1 race, but I do want to mention last night, and I'll admit I'm a little shook by it. If you saw, today's Thursday, One After Dark Monday, I traveled on Post Road to get to Ladybug, right, where we broadcast, and I would go that way to, cover the Charlotte Lester case and so forth. And many times I go along that way. So last night, around 8:30, two people are coming north on Post Road, right near, used to be Caster's Bicycle. Now it's Trek Bikes or whatever, which I go to. And this guy comes cruising along, wrong side of the road, and boom, head-on crash, slams right into them. And the Warwick police, were on scene and did investigation. He's been arrested on DUI. Folks, that is another example how Governor McKee, Rhode Island, we are behind the 8 ball. as far as DUI. And I want to be very clear, where my position is different than other people with DUI, is to me, it's not, hear me out, it's not about the punishment. That's not it, not to me. To me, it's about the prevention. So if you check the Facebook page, I did post what the Warwick police put out about this guy that was, annihilated essentially, riding along. And let me just double check this. Oh, okay, I see what happened. We had a little stop-start with the FB. Let me just find Warwick Police Department, and they have, there it is, yeah, DUI investigation. So 8:30, Post Road, Warwick, two-vehicle head-on crash, minivan, Toyota Camry sedan, the two women trapped in the vehicle, unresponsive, needed the jaws of life. Operator of the Toyota minivan showed signs of impairment. 37-year-old male placed under arrest, suspicion of driving under the influence. And the person's been identified as Johnston resident Ethan Mancini. Scheduled to appear, he appeared in court, charged with DUI, seriously bodily injury, driving to endanger anyone who witnessed the crash, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, folks. So, Warwick Police, by the way, they moved very quickly on that. This Ethan Mancini, 37 years old, wrong side, crosses over the line, head-on crash. Rhode Island, here are my questions. Where was he coming from? Where was he coming from? Was he coming from a bar or a restaurant? Was he going to another bar? Now, there is cellos along the water. Was he headed there? Was he headed to Main Street, East Greenwich? I mean, I don't know the destination of where he was going. Maybe he had a friend over there, what have you. But I would like to know, was he served in a bar or restaurant that then allowed him to go on his way in that condition? Was he leaving a friend's house? In Rhode Island, we don't seem to have any accountability for who's serving these individuals when then they get behind the wheel. By the way, this is, and I don't use the word drunk driving accident. It wasn't an accident. He chose to get behind the wheel, this guy. So, but who served him? I don't hear that come out. Did he leave a friend's house? Was he in a bar? Was he in a restaurant? Where was he coming from? Where was his path of travel? That I would like to know, because they should be held accountable. Now, because tourism is so important in our state, as a result of that, with our laws, Governor McGreed never pushes that they should go after whoever served him then. That's number one. Number two, in Connecticut, they have checkpoints. Rhode Island needs to change our laws to allow checkpoints. So let's just say, see, I'm all about, we have to, this business, and a good example to me is, Matthew Dennison, who was killed February of 2020, of last year. This business, the guy who hasn't even gone on trial yet, you want to lock him up for life, which won't happen. Throw away the key, won't happen. All that stuff. You're not bringing back Matthew Dennison. You're not bringing him back. So I believe there needs to be more efforts on preventive measures, where there's no way a restaurant or bar would let someone leave who has been drinking heavily and then get behind the wheel. There needs to be some way that they could either tip off law enforcement, maybe where they're not going to get in trouble, or whatever. That's number one. Number two, what we need, and they have them in Connecticut, are checkpoints. In Rhode Island, this is so crazy, but because of our state constitution, they can't have roadblock checkpoints. Let's just say last night, Warwick. Now, I've been in Cranston, where sometimes they set up various ones. I think in Rhode Island, we should set up more of a special task force and be in designated areas. And maybe certain nights. Thursday night is a big night out. But last night, let's just say there had been a Warwick checkpoint in Apponaug for people that are drinking and driving going to Oakland Beach, or people that are going to, I would have zero problem if in and around Main Street, East Greenwich, they had checkpoints where they stop you, make sure person's not impaired, and then send them on the way. It's worth the inconvenience. Maybe they're 10, 15 minutes, whatever. But these checkpoints would stop these drivers. Not everybody. I'm not saying there's nothing foolproof. There's nothing foolproof. But I am interested in measures about prevention. Listen, you're not going to, people know they shouldn't drink and drive, or you want to have the vehicles that have to blow in order to be able to operate the vehicle. We need, but here's my point. You don't hear anything from this leadership at the Rhode Island State House about cutting into the amount of drunk drive. I mean, nothing. You don't hear anything on that. And I don't, you know what? Because either, for whatever reason, but it's a problem. And so, yeah, I was on that road just the other night. What do? You're not on the highway, right? It's 8:30. It is now dark, but somebody, crosses the median and crashes into you in a head-on. It is frightening. I feel terrible for those people. And also, folks, let me just put out what I think is the obvious. That was not God's will. Yeah, I don't know the condition of the two people that wasn't God's will. God wasn't calling them home. If God, and I don't know the condition. If one of them passes away, both of them, that was not, no, that was man's free will. God's will. No, it wasn't God's will. No. And God called her home. No, wrong. No, they were wherever they were going. No. He decided. He did. God gave him free will. He decided to drink. Well, God made him drink, and then God put him behind the wheel. No, he didn't. Stop saying that. These people, you're not a puppet on a string. It was not God's will. Folks, this portion of our program brought to you by AJ Drywall, Plasters, and Home Improvement. Call them today, 401-323-9252. Frame to finish basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, additions, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling, serving Rhode Island and southeastern Mass. AJ Drywall, Plasters, and Home Improvement. They could do it all. If you want to do an addition, you want to build a new home, improve your basement, have a home office, AJ Drywall, Plasters, and Home Improvement. Call them today, 401-323-9252, and you can find them on Facebook. Well, folks, good afternoon. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Now, as I have been telling you, this cd-1 race to replace Cicilline, with the deadline fast approaching, as far as, now the mail ballots are already out right now, and the early voting has started. So, but the candidate that I have been telling you has been imploding in trouble is Lieutenant Governor Serena Matos, who, to me, she doesn't help herself in the debates. I don't think there's a lot there. And she's about to be, okay, it is the signature scandal, but I think she's a creation of the media. They love her. She was definitely a creation of Governor McKee. What's about to be comical now is she's going to lose this primary, and now she's just going to be a wounded lieutenant governor who's at war with McKee, who made her. Now he doesn't even get to pick her replacement. He's stuck with her as lieutenant governor. So I want to read some recent headlines. Let's see. Republican debate leaves Democrats further convinced Trump will be Biden's 2024 opponent. Well, if that's the case. Now, but the race, the person to watch. Now, I've told you that she is imploding. And as I have told you, as I have said and reported on, the person that I have told you, that, listen, the guy ran a very good race against McKee in 2018 for lieutenant governor. Dan McGowan and myself discussed that. He came up 2,000 votes short. He's run a very solid campaign. I want to say this twice. I would never vote for the guy. I think he's arrogant. I think he's smug. I disagree with all his policies. I don't agree with the money. No, he shouldn't be. He should not be in public office. No, no. He has no idea how small business works. He is a trust fund entitled elitist for Brown University. But Aaron Ruggenberg knows how to organize. He did hold 2 terms at the Rhode Island State House. He ran for lieutenant governor 5 years ago. He has run a solid campaign, but he knows how to organize people. That's a big part of it. So Gabe Amo, he worked and was in the Biden White House. He has released a poll that shows right now that right now in this CD2 race, that Gabe Amo, that first of all, Ruggenberg is at 28%. 28% for Aaron Ruggenberg, was exactly where I had him. I heard some people that really don't pay attention, but we're talking about this and saying, well, Matos is going to win. She's probably going to win. And I've been saying, I don't see that. That desperate press conference she had the other day was so pathetic of this Nick Audiello. It just kind of shows. But the whole reason Sabina Matos, lieutenant governor, is even where she is now is just likability. People meet her and say, she's nice, which doesn't mean anything. But Gabe Amo has polling that shows Aaron Ruggenberg 28%. Gabe Amo at basically 19%, right around there, 18 point something. So less than 10 points. Matos tied with Sandra Cunno at 10%. She may finish 4th. So now, someone whose campaign is in trouble is this guy from Jamestown. And someone pointed out to me, I was thinking him in trouble could help Gabe Mo, but someone else pointed out to me that actually that may even help Aaron Ruggenberg instead. So as it could narrow. So that's where we sit. Now there's 2 debates to go. And you still have 12. You still have all these people. It's crazy. I'm anxious to see how Channel 10 and Channel 12 cut it off. Right now, the only people that should be on this Democrat debate stage for cd-1, Congressional District 1, it should be Gabe Amo, Aaron Ruggenberg, Sandra Cunno, and Matos. I guess you could say the businessman Carlson. The rest of these people, they're not even, they're polling below 5%. If Representative Stephen Casey, if he has a good ballot harvesting operation, maybe he does have a shot, but he certainly isn't overwhelming people as far as in the debates. That's for sure. Some of the other individuals, there's another guy that was at the Naval War College, and I mean, he seems like a nice enough guy and so forth, and then the John Gonzalez, but those people, they're just so far down. It is a scattered field. Keep in mind, Ruggenberg has Bernie Sanders coming in this weekend, and they are aligned. They are absolutely aligned. And so this really could come down to 1 or 2 people, but Matos collapsing is remarkable. This Gabe Mo, I don't know enough about his ground game operation. It almost seems he could use more time. Maybe he needs 2 more weeks. Too many people in the field. But he releases a poll that has Ruggenberg close to 30% of the vote. I mean, it could be 1. And Ruggenberg, I'm sure they have internal polls. So now, the only good news is for Ruggenberg, the only good news for those that like Gary Leonard, and I've been playing some of him, and I'm going to have him on the show. I think he's going to be the Republican nominee. He's a former Marine from Jamestown. is if his opponent is Aaron Ruggenberg. It is the two most extreme examples of two candidates running. And I think it could bode well for Gary Leonard, who would be the Republican, because it would basically be like running against Bernie Sanders. You have a Marine running against someone who wants to defund the police. You have a Marine running against someone who wants to cut military spending. You have a Marine you have someone who wants to do away with the Second Amendment. I mean, I really like, if he can, I don't know about his campaign operation. I don't know enough about it. I don't know if he has competent people around him. I am going to, get together with him and talk to him. I don't know what he doesn't know. And he doesn't know what he doesn't know, which is hard. But he could be handed a situation. And by the way, the Democrat Party might say, let's get this guy in, Gary Leonard. Because whoever wins this, Congressional District 1, the Cicilline seat, you have to run for re-election next November. So it's possible the Democrats could say, we don't want Ruggenberg. So if we let the Marine, the Republican, win, we could probably take him out next year with a more Democrat establishment-friendly candidate. Because Ruggenberg is hated by McKee and hated by the party because he is the Bernie Sanders extremist. He is. So I think that's something also to watch as well. Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show, and it's brought to you by, remember, Propane Plus. For all your propane needs, call them today. If you use propane, call Propane Plus today. Folks, call them at 401-885-4209. 401-885-4209, Propane Plus. Or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus, heating and cooling. Remember, residential or commercial, if you use propane, call Propane Plus. Now, they have a very user-friendly website. So if you log on, you can then just type in your zip code and boom, you're in business. Residential, commercial, always there for you. Propane Plus. Call them today, 401-885-4209, or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. Tomorrow on the radio show, Wendy Murphy, prominent attorney, actually law professor in Massachusetts. You're going to hear her as a guest to discuss the Karen Reed case. Karen Reed, I'm going to have a piece on it tomorrow on the radio show. That's the case out of Canton. A lot of people are kind of into it. She did an interview on Dateline on ABC, which I didn't even know was still on, but with Matt Gutman, excuse me. Some interesting things came out of the Karen Reed interview, which I'll play tomorrow night. I'm going to have an interview with Wendy Murphy on it. But just very quickly on the Wendy Murphy case, I think it's interesting that we learned in that case that they believe she had as many as 9 drinks that night in January of 2022. That's, if you have had 9 drinks, you are annihilated. So somewhere north of 7 to 9 drinks, and she didn't fight it. Karen Reed did not dispute that. She didn't say, no, I have this and that. So that's interesting. That's number one. Number two, with the Karen Reed case, this is John O'Keefe, the Boston police officer that was killed. Her rendition of why she didn't go into the house. Well, there's several things. 4 things, actually. Number 2, her rendition of why she didn't go to the house, to me, just doesn't make sense. She said, I didn't go in with them because I wasn't sure I was invited. I don't know. That seems odd to me. You're out, you're with him, you're a couple, you're kind of living together. So you're out as a couple on a Saturday night. You are drinking with these people. They say, hey, we're all heading over to so-and-so's house. I'm just trying to, like she was asked by the ABC reporter, well, why didn't you go in? She's like, well, I wasn't sure I was invited. I'm just trying to envision that, what would they, well, so just picture they park, they're walking up, and then someone's like, whoa, 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 hold on. We said he could come in. We didn't say you. Like, does that seem normal to anybody? Right? It wasn't he's bringing along on like a guy's fishing trip. It wasn't, hey, I have an extra ticket for the Patriots game, and then he shows up with someone. It's you're out in a group, it's couples, we're all going to go over and have a nightcap at, the Albert House. This whole business, well, I wasn't sure I was, I mean, like, what it, I don't know. I have trouble believing that. Someone I talked to was like, well, she didn't hear the invite. Well, like, really? Like, hold on. We said he could come. You're not, it's snowing out. It's midnight. They've all been out. Hold on. Picture someone at the door. No. We said he could come in. No one said anything about you. No. Men only. Like, what is this? Women haters club? No. So I don't believe that. We also learned they had an incident right around New Year's that they talked about on the Nightline interview, which I'll play tomorrow. Where they were away, they had an argument, and then he went out and was like drinking till 3 a.m, and she had to. It could have been New Year's Eve even, and she had to like stay with his kids. And then so this business of him like storming off, like too bad. I want to keep drinking, keep the night going, and so that she talked about that. Hadn't heard that one before. I think that's interesting. Where if there's a pattern of he wants to keep the night going, and she's like, no, let's just end it. And the other thing is, when Karen Reed says she dropped off John O'Keefe, and she sees him in the driveway, and then she looks down at her phone. So, I don't know. It just seems odd that she's saying, I didn't see him go in the house. But to me, that's because the next morning, she never said, I saw him go in the house, which you would say, right? You would say, we pulled up. I wasn't sure I was invited. So I dropped him off. He went in, so I left. I don't know. I'm going to play the interview tomorrow for on Nightline. You can watch it. I think that's key. I think it's interesting that she's saying, I'm watching him. And then I look down at my phone. So she doesn't say, and I saw him go in. But she also didn't say it the next morning. So anyhow, that'll be tomorrow on the radio show. Folks, good afternoon. This portion of our program, and it's brought to you by Ryan's Appliance Repair. Remember what we say, when your appliance is dying, just call Ryan. Ryan's Appliance Repair, 401-710-7096. 401-710-7096. Ryan's Appliance Repair, whether it's a washing machine or dryer. I told the story 3 weeks ago. Washing machine, our knob, it was stripped. Suddenly wouldn't turn. What do? I called Ryan's Appliance Repair. I took a screenshot of the serial number. I took a screenshot just so we could see the knob, so forth. And he repaired it. Works great. 401-710-7096. Saturday appointments are available. All work is guaranteed for 9 days, parts and labor. And senior citizens discounts are available. Ryan's Appliance Repair. So he has fixed our dryer, which can happen. He fixed our washing machine. That's true. We had a problem in the refrigerator. He fixed that. And then we also had a problem with the dishwasher. And he fixed that because he's Ryan's Appliance Repair. When your appliance is dying, just call Ryan. 401-710-7096. Folks, you're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I thought the debate last night, I thought it was good. I would have liked to have seen President Trump on the stage. He is saying he's going to skip the first two. But I'm anxious to see what debate he's going to show up to. I think people want to see him, and I think, especially now that he has he saw Vivek in action, I think that then he's going to be more akin to saying, okay, we'll do this. Like I can, I'll do it. It's almost like the two of them would be kind of teaming up a little bit. So I think it's missing, but I also think the process right now. I mean, I'm not on board with Kennedy certainly running on the Democrat side, um, trying to get a debate with Biden. Folks, what Democrats don't even want Biden to run. Independents don't want Biden to run. This should be. Let me just say this. This should be an easy election for a Republican candidate. All the Republicans have to do is put together a good ticket, and they should cruise to victory. So I am very clear because I listen and I understand. I spoke with someone with a big Trump supporter said, sometimes when I listen to you, I'm not sure. I said, listen, it's my intention. I'm going to support whoever the nominee is, but it can't. We cannot lose this election. We can't lose the election. So I think President Trump for another 4 years, yes, his policies were great. The economy was better. He would be tough on China. He would be really tough on the border. We need that. We should go to war with the cartels. They are pumping fentanyl into our country, killing people. They're pumping illegals. Governor McKee, by the way, McKee and Matos, we're the biggest, the number one thing Rhode Island is importing right now. Importing, not exporting. Importing right now to Rhode Island are people and drugs. That's McKee Matos. No one talks about it. Human trafficking and the amount of fentanyl. All the overdoses. What does McKee do to stop it? Nothing. Nothing. He's welcoming them. By the way, if you're listening right now in Massachusetts, it's a major problem. The mayor of New York City is very open now how bad the illegal problem is in New York. He didn't have a problem when they were Texas, Arizona, and Florida. Now he's saying, I can't take it anymore. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, I did a TikTok on it. She's saying not only in-state tuition, financial aid for illegals. That's taxpayer money. Financial aid for illegals. But folks, here's the problem. So Massachusetts is bursting at the seams with illegals. Where are they going to be sent to? Are they going to say, all right, put them on a bus and they're going to go 4 hours south to New York? What's in between? Drop them in Rhode Island. And what's McKee Matos? Come right in. Come right in. Let's get them registered to vote. And McKee is now giving them driver's licenses. As far as that report that Channel 12 has on that, Carlson, I think that's pretty interesting. I would think somebody fed that to him. Nothing against them. But that guy, Don Carlson, it's pretty interesting how Channel 12 would not buckle and would not have an off-the-record conversation. What this really sets up also about this Jamestown businessman, Don Carlson, who was teaching at a college, his alma mater. Something happened, supposedly, and they told him he wasn't welcome back to teach. Maybe he just said, oh, okay, fine. But now, it's campaign, and they're really running down the whole thing. So we don't know. It's just kind of left of what happened. For whatever reason, he was not welcomed back. But what should be really interesting is when this guy goes to Channel 12 to debate, because that's what we're looking for, is the sheer entertainment of that. So, but Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, even she said that the whatever term people are comfortable, migrant situation, it's unsustainable. Folks, this is the Biden-Harris. They're just pumping all these people in over the border. This is the Aaron Ruggenberg. They want to transform what our country looks like. They want to transform the makeup of our country. They absolutely do. And someone like a Raimondo, don't count her out. This China trip, it's high profile. If Biden is not going to run, right now he is running. If he's not going to run, and that sets up a free-for-all, you watch. Raimondo is jumping in. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is jumping in. Amy Klobuchar is jumping in. Maybe even Elizabeth Warren is jumping in. Obviously, Harris, or the vice president, is jumping in. But I still don't believe Team Biden is willing to give up the keys to the car. I still think. And people, you got to understand, he is shielded. President Biden benefits from so much attention on all the Trump problems, legal problems, now the Republican field. They're planning on running another keep him hidden from the public. I don't think it's going to work this time. I don't. Democrats, a large percentage of Democrats don't want President Biden to run for re-election, but a huge number of independents don't want him to run. So why is he running? Because he's a stubborn older guy, and Jill Biden likes being first lady, and his staff feel we've come this far, and they also feel they can beat President Trump. So what's my answer? The Republican Party must field a ticket that can win. There's nothing more important than them winning, right? Like Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi said winning isn't the most important thing. Winning's the only thing. It's the only thing is winning. The Republicans have to take back the White House. Or otherwise, I don't know where we're going. I really don't. But he's not going to drop out. His chief of staff, the first lady, they feel everything's under control. He's still alive. He's still breathing. He flew to Hawaii. He can still walk around and get ice cream. They're not going to give up the power. Remember this, Joe Biden likes flying an Air Force One, and she likes living in the White House. Folks, we have another hour to go. Our legal expert, attorney Tim Dodd, joins us next hour. I will be doing Facebook Live later. It's the John DePetro Show. Our legal expert, attorney Tim Dodd, breaks down the Trump legal problems in Georgia. Right now, we're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Another full hour to go on the John DePetro Show.